What's good, Internet? My name is Attack Slug. Welcome to my WWE Extreme Rules 2019 prediction video here on the channel. We have a 9 or 10 match card here, something like that. And let's get down to business in predicting what's going to happen this Sunday. Now, I am recording this on a Thursday afternoon, as usual. So if any matches get added between now and the show, I'm sorry. If anything changes between now and the show, I'm sorry. That's just kind of how things work here on the YouTube. Let's get down to business. Now then, your Cruiserweight champion, Drew Gulak, defending his newly won title versus Tony Nese. And I don't think this early, having just won that belt, you would take it off of Drew Gulak and the no-fly zone. So Drew Gulak retaining against Tony Nese on Extreme Rules. Now then, Aleister Black, after many weeks of waiting for someone to knock on his door, the door knocker is Cesaro. And Cesaro versus Aleister Black, I think, might just steal the show at Extreme Rules. Certainly two guys that I like a whole lot. I think it put on an amazing match. But come on. You don't have that many weeks of backstage promos for a guy on your show, go into a pay-per-view, and then have him lose. That just would make zero sense at all. So Aleister Black gonna win versus Cesaro. However, I think both men are so talented, even in losing, Cesaro will look amazing and hopefully elevate both talents because they are just both that good. Fingers crossed to steal the show. Now then, we have a last man standing match between Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. Personally, I want to see Lio Rush back, but that's a whole different story. Now then, there was kind of an apparent bogus news story saying that Braun was dealing with some nagging injuries and was going to have some time off, and that is why they had that whole spot with the whole Jumbotron through the, thing, through the LED board type deal. Apparently, not true, and Braun is not injured, so therefore, why would you ever bet against Braun Strowman in any kind of match? Now, granted, if that match had Roman Reigns, then yes, you bet against Braun Strowman because Roman Reigns, right? But anybody else at this point, I would not bet against them against a Braun Strowman. Certainly, last man standing means some kind of shenanigans here, a big old hoss fight, if you will, but Braun Strowman is going to bury Bobby Lashley under something, put him in a garbage truck, I don't know, some insane feat of strength because Braun Strowman, and that means that Braun wins the match. Lashley gets flattened for that standing 10 count, etc., etc. Braun all the way. Now then, we have the tag team matches, which personally I'm kind of flip-flopping on who might win these, and we have on Raw, The Revival, your tag team champions, versus the Usos, two of the best tag teams in the world. There is the potential for Shane McMahon shenanigans earlier in the evening here. I don't think it'll happen, but you never know. Now, we saw Elias abandon the Revival in that 6-man tag team match on Raw. You saw the Revival lose that match, that 2 out of 3 falls match, to the Usos. So you would think, based on what happened on Raw, that by some kind of shenanigans, some kind of backdoor shenanigans, that the Revival managed to retain their tag team titles at Extreme Rules. I don't think there are any other stips here, so it's just a standard tag team match on this show. And that being said, the Revival are tag team technicians, and they retain their tag team titles. I just keep saying tag team over and over again. Now then, on the other side, on the flip side, your SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Planet's Champions, Daniel Bryan and Rowan, versus the New Day, comprising of Big E and Xavier Woods, versus Heavy Machinery for those SmackDown Tag Team titles, those Planet's Tag Team titles. Is it time for Bryan and Rowan to lose? I say no. I say they are holding that division down. They have it locked down, and Shane's gonna powerbomb Roman, really? I think they have it locked down, And while I would like to see Heavy Machinery win those tag team titles, I think the outcome of the match on SmackDown, where it's like, oh look, they didn't have to get pinned to lose that match, where Xavier got pinned by Otis, I believe, that yes, Bryan and Rowan retain these belts because you kind of have the flip side of what you did on SmackDown, on your go-home show. Anyhow, even being a B-tier show, you would imagine there would be at least one title change. And I think the most likely title change is going to happen in the next match, which will be your current U.S. champion Ricochet versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Again, a match I'm kind of flip-flopping on who I think should win. And certainly, I think at some point you will have Ricochet gain the help of a tag team to combat AJ and the Club. Perhaps the Street Profits. Perhaps. But in this instance, right now, where it is just Ricochet and AJ with Gallows and Anderson lurking in the background, I think that's going to cost Ricochet his title, and I think your new U.S. champion will be the phenomenal AJ Styles. And the Club's reign of terror will begin here on Monday Night Raw. Now then, we have your SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley with insurmountable odds as she faces in a 2-on-1 handicap match Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And apparently Alexa has a pretty bad sinus infection this week. It was not on TV because of that sinus infection. And will that determine the outcome of the match? The fact that they still kept her in the match, to me, says, oh man, that means she might win the match. She might win this title. But honestly, I think you're building towards a feud between Alexa and Nikki, right? And having a Raw superstar win your SmackDown title, I guess, therefore go to SmackDown. Again, you've got the wild card. You've kind of gotten rid of the brand split mostly at this point. It's just kind of inconsequential. But I still think with those odds, with that potential for shenanigans, that Bayley somehow takes advantage of a miscommunication in that and then retains her title. And look, they could have Alexa win it. Like, I'm certainly not going to say that won't happen. But I'd like to think they at least stop doing these inter-branded matches for your titles anyway. Like, other matches, whatever. But at least keep your SmackDown titles to SmackDown challengers and vice versa. Anyway, speaking of SmackDown though, your WWE Champion Kofi Kingston defending against the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe, in that match for the WWE title. And I've been hearing rumors that Kofi perhaps a little bit injured this week. And could that play into this match? Could the fact that we have the lurking Brock Lesnar, who I don't think will show up at this show, but then again, I said the same thing about a show like Money in the Bank, and Brock was there at Money in the Bank, winning Money in the Bank. So I was like, he won't be there. He was there, right? So don't discount Brock having this longer-term deal until 2020 to show up, but I still am resolute in that Brock is not actually cashing in until the first SmackDown on Fox in October on the 4th. So that being said, I think if Kofi is not too injured, that he will retain his title here. But I would love to see a Joe title reign finally. Hasn't happened yet. I'd like to see it. McIntyre versus the Tombstone on the old man. Shane going to the top. Yup. Another shooting star press from Shane McMahon. Good God, Shane. Good God. Just a total beast in this match. And that's hilarious. That's hilarious. The chances of seeing a reverse tombstone and a shooting star press at the same time this Sunday, I would say, are about 1%, but that's still 1%. You never know. The best in the world! Shane McMahon! That hurt my kidneys. Jesus. Greg Hamilton, I don't know how you do it. So I'm going to call Kofi to retain that title because Kofi, right? Now then, we move on to some very predictable matches. And they are Seth Rollins, your Universal Champion, and Becky Lynch, your WWE Raw Women's Champion, defending both belts, winner take all, against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans in an Extreme Rules match. And come on. Do you really think they're going to have both Baron as Universal Champion and Lacey as Raw Women's Champion at this juncture in 2019? That would be the most shocking thing you could do on this show. And if Vince McMahon wants to shock the world, if Paul Heyman, who's now running Raw, wants to shock the world, then yes, that is the shocking finish for that match. I just don't realistically see it happening. So I'm going to say that Seth and Becky both retain because, come on. Come on! That one, I think, is pretty much by the book, common sense, gonna happen, that they're gonna win that match. Now then, that match you would imagine would be the main event, except this show has a match with both Roman Reigns and Taker in the same match, on the same team. That's gonna be the main event. Like, you can't not have that happening in 2019, given how few matches are left for Taker, given how old he is. Of course he's main event. These two main events at WrestleMania, when they actually had titles on the line in other matches, and yet Roman and Taker for the yard were the main event. Like, how does that happen? Because Roman, because the dead man, right? So, Roman Reigns, The Undertaker, in a match versus Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. It is a no-holds-barred match, and come on. Roman and Taker. Like, you wouldn't bet against one, you definitely wouldn't bet against both. And if they're going to be transitioning Shane away from Roman into a Kevin Owens feud towards SummerSlam, this gives you the finality of this feud between Roman and Shane, and that moves that away, and then Shane can go do other things with Kevin Owens, and that whole bit of business, and keep getting hit with a stunner over and over again, because, you know, a McMahon getting hit by a stunner, that's just business. That's just good business, usually. So yes, Roman and Taker are victorious in this match against Shane and Drew. And honestly, I want Drew to be a main event player. I need Drew to start winning matches, but come on, Drew, you ain't winning this one. It's just not happening. Anyway, I'm Attack Slug. Thanks for watching. More videos on this channel. Tune in for those. Let me know who you think's gonna win down in the comments below. I'll see you next time, right here on this channel. And I'm out.